Have you ever said yes to a project and then realized you're not really prepared? Well, I just went through the same thing and I found a new workflow to solve that problem. I started a new community last week and I guess I didn't really think it through because all of a sudden I needed a bunch of assets, like an icon for the group or a cover that's 1084 by 576. I also needed some covers for my courses, and these needed to be 1460 by 752. Yikes. I used Canva at first to make some placeholders, but I knew I needed to figure out a better way. So instead of trying to generate in those exact dimensions or just a wide ratio as I normally do, the big tip I have for you and the new workflow I used is to generate in squares and then change the ratio after. Why? Because square generations are actually really sick. Like on average, way cooler than wide ratios, way more interesting. It does way better with controlling text, at least in terms of composition, in my opinion. So generate in a square and then fill in the sides to make it wide using the Midjourney editor. And let me go through an extra special tip while we're on this topic. When you expand the ratio, let's just say 16 by 9 for now, and you're left with the empty canvas on the left and right, I think you should also lower the brush size and erase the sides of your original image, just like this. You can even erase the top and bottom as well. It doesn't have to be exact, but the reason we're doing this is so that our old image flows smoother into the new one. Trust me, this is one of the best ways to do it. The next tip I have for you if you're trying to create consistent designs is to use a style code. You can mine these by typing --sref random into the prompt box. It's going to take your prompt and apply a random style. These styles will have a code attached to them so that you can use them again in the future, but they will be numbered between 1 and over 4 billion. There are a lot of style codes. Having said that, there are a lot of free resources available. People have been gathering these for months. You can check out this website called Style Safari, and I have a free catalog of codes that you can download and browse through. But I want to say that when you're using these codes, I suggest you pay attention to 3 parameters. The first is style weight. This can be triggered by writing --SW at the end of your prompt, and then a value between 0 and 1000. 100 is the default, so I think you should try raising this number. It will just increase the influence of the style code you provided in the prompt. Let me show you a quick example. Let's take this style code right here. It sort of creates these minimal black marker Sharpie images. This is what it looks like with a style weight of 100. And these are what the results look like when we raise that style weight all the way to 1000, the maximum influence. Do you see the evolution? I'm not saying you're always going to want to go to 1000, but if you want to hone in on a specific look, remember the style weight parameter. But also don't forget about stylize. I know a lot of parameter names sound similar and it can be frustrating to remember them all, especially because stylize also goes from 0 to 1000. And for all intents and purposes, this parameter determines how beautiful your image is going to be. Normally, I avoid making big changes to the stylized value, but when you're using a style code, I find it works really well. Let's go back to this Sharpie example. I'm going to add a stylized value of 500. And the idea is that on average, these new generations will be more beautiful than the previous ones. Do you see what I mean? Do you think there's a difference? Maybe you wouldn't call any of those beautiful, but I think you will notice a difference the more you play around with it. The last parameter that you should be trying is your personalization code. You can develop your code here by choosing between pairs of images. And a quick tip on this, even if you don't like either of them, don't hit skip. Just try to focus on which one you like more. The bot is going to learn from these small choices and you might really enjoy the outcome. You can activate your personal style by writing --P at the end of your prompt, and this is a great way for maintaining a consistent look. So now the bot is also going to incorporate my personal preferences along with the style code, the style weight, and the stylized value. Are the differences that noticeable? I don't know, but using this exact process, I was able to create these assets for my community. I included a theme or subject to also influence the prompt. I asked for a title that says Udio, using this style reference code, a style weight of 1000, stylized 500, and my personalization code. And look how pretty this poster is. Using the editor, I was able to turn that picture into this cover. Super cool process. So you're generating in a square ratio with a style code and maybe some custom parameters. Now here comes the next big part of the workflow. Let's say you found something you like. This is where you bust out the Remix Strong. This is one of my favorite features. Remix Strong is amazing. And what this is going to do is allow you to keep another layer of consistency as we remix what's already inside of the picture. If you don't see the remix option down here, you can find it under more options and then remix. And we do not want remix subtle, not at all. remix strong. This is going to bring up the prompt box as a remix, and all I'm suggesting you do is change up the prompt a little bit. So instead of a title that says Udio, how about a title that says Luma, another one of my favorite AIs. Now it's going to take these aesthetics, these parameters, and translate them into a new image. And we might end up with a cover like these. I think that's pretty cool. I like that color palette, quite the contrast. And this one is also really pretty. From here, we would go into the editor and expand the frame to make it a wide ratio as well. And do you see these little black bars that are on the side of the image? That's why it's so important to erase them before you expand the canvas. Because if you didn't, you might end up with something like this. It saw the black bars on the side and it's going to continue that color for the rest of the image. That's not what we wanted. Using that exact workflow, I was able to create a bunch of consistent assets for different AI tools that I'll be covering in my community, like ChatGPT, Runway ML, oh that's so cool. Look what Remix is able to do with characters. We'll take this Batman and we can remix it into Tracer from Overwatch. Look how the design and colors are so consistent and cool. What about these Wonder Women? That is amazing. I think that Thor is awesome as well. Captain America, how about that? One last really big tip I have for you, you cannot forget about this. Let's say you come up with a design that's like 98% perfect, but the text isn't quite right. Luma. I would have loved to use this, so what can I do? Instead of remixing, we're going to use the variation button. Again, not subtle, we want very strong. Now, I will say it's not the perfect fix, it's going to change up your picture a lot, but it does give Midjourney a chance to course correct. You might get an image like this where Luma's spelt a little better. Use very strong to explore further and give you a better chance of finding what you're looking for. And then I should say, if you're looking for exact dimensions, you can use Canva to create a custom canvas, or you could go into Photoshop because they have a feature called generative fill and it is so powerful, especially if you're looking for just portions of an image. This is how I create like all of my thumbnails. I'll line up the subject where I think it looks best and then I'll use generative fill to paint in the rest of the image. I hope this new workflow is as smooth for you as it is for me, and if you want some more Midjourney tips, you should watch this video now. I hope you're doing well, take care, and I'll see you next time. Peace.